Man, isn't basketball fun? Do you want an actual breakdown of this game? Because my brain is too mushy after it to remember specific things. I remember some things, but I guess, look, Kevin Durant had to carry an anchor and then some for the Nets to have a chance to win this. I mean, 48 points, and yeah, he had the air ball at the end, but the amount of baskets over Brook Lopez and the craziness of forcing it to overtime on that one shot. It's easy to say they should have called time after seeing the air ball by Kevin Durant there, but overall he was amazing in this. But for the Bucks, they did it throughout sometimes the awkward offense and the questionable defensive decisions. Giannis, he was otherworldly, especially in the first three quarters of this. I mean, eventually Drew and Middleton got their acts together. Drew was great in that fourth quarter. I mean, he had that open three where they just dared him to shoot it. He had that baseline jumper that was huge. He had, I think there was like a floater or something, or like a couple of free throws that he drew that were huge as well. And of course, Middleton had the big bucket off of the Giannis handoff, which was the pull-up mid-range. He had a series of those tonight that were huge, but that one in the overtime was big. We had the Giannis post-up. I got a little sidetracked. Giannis carried them throughout the first three quarters so hard because it was him, a couple of timely Pat Connaughton threes, and Brook Lopez relocating off the ball to bail them out on a couple of possessions that were going nowhere. I mean, yeah, he took a couple of jumpers that weren't great, but a lot of the time he took advantage of the space they gave him and just drew fouls. He made a few mid-range jumpers that were huge. He had some post-up opportunities like ISOs on Blake Griffin or whatever. And he was still great the rest of the way. But eventually the other guys started doing a little bit more for him and actually making some shots, and that helped him out. And again, they super dared Drew Holiday to beat him from outside, and the Middleton-Giannis two-man game just started resulting in more actual buckets. To talk about the Nets offense, like in the overtime, because I think the only basket they had in OT was the Bruce Brown offensive rebound. To be honest, it's tough to remember all their shot attempts just off the top of my head right now with everything that I'm trying to remember from that game, besides the miss by KD at the end there. I mean, there was at least one other pull-up over Chris Middleton by KD that did not go in. There was an open Joe Harris 3 that did not drop, and if you were waiting for the Joe Harris game in this series, it didn't happen. And if he just has one game where he goes like randomly for 7 threes or something, then that would have been massive, of course. They got that with one Jeff Green game. Yeah, for the life of me, I can't remember everything the Nets were doing on offense besides KD just attacking Brook Lopez. That did seem like what it was a lot of the time, and then your random James Harden banked three-pointer, and Bruce Brown just creating something out of a play going awry. The simplest thing to say was the Nets they needed Kevin Durant and only Kevin Durant, and the guy gave them about as much as you could have asked for. I mean, did it end up being enough? Technically, no, but really, like, Kevin Durant did enough for them to win this game. It's just a matter of a couple of bounces here and there, one shot that rims in or out, and that's the difference of the game. I mean, I know that sounds pretty cliche, but like, it went to overtime and it was decided by 2 points. Are you really going to give Kevin Durant crap if he scores 48 and not 50? I mean, I guess you could if you're determined enough, but to me, this is just a matter of somebody had to lose this thing. I mean, if you want to get nitpicky, I guess you could just say, well, maybe instead of having Kevin Durant do everything from the top of the key, maybe have some off-ball stuff for him. Even then, he probably did, and I'm just not remembering it. Again, there's so much happened, and it's tough to remember every specific play. And so, yeah, I mean, the Bucks offense, they eventually cleaned up some of the mess. I mean, we had that one Giannis screen where he got it from Drew, and it was just a classic pick and roll where they actually brought two to Drew, and that just gave Giannis an easy lane, and he laid it up, and I believe he got fouled by KD on the play, so that ended up being big. I think that's something that was kind of huge in this game because there was a point in the second quarter where their offense, the Bucks, was going back to just the ISO, we don't have a plan right now thing, and Giannis dragged them through that, but it was good to see them get back to the, Giannis setting screens, some motion off the ball, all that nice stuff. And if we can think about them in the upcoming series, well, we don't know as of right now. I mean, if it's Philly, then there could be some ugly offensive basketball at times in that series. Let's just be honest. If it's against Atlanta, then we'll have the whole Trae Young conversation again. Drew Holiday matches up with him size-wise. We'll have to see. My prediction for Game 7 is that Philly will win against Atlanta. But the Sixers have, well, you know how that second round has been going for them. And Trae Young has been amazing, no doubt. To think about the Nets, I mean, I would like to do a video on them, but the obvious is they got hurt. Kyrie is out after game, whatever it was. Harden doing what he can on the hamstring. If this team was healthy, I think they would have at least made the finals. Given how the playoffs look right now, I think they would have won the finals. If you want to make everybody healthy, then I think it would have been Nets, Lakers, and, well, whatever. That's just a different timeline at this point. So then it's just a matter of who can you hold on to. Of course, Harden, KD, and Kyrie will be back. Spencer Dinwiddie, does he accept his player option? Does he decline it? It's $12.3 million. He probably believes he's worth more than that. He is worth more than that. And he can probably get it this offseason. So if he's gone, then, I mean, it gets a little tough. It's not like they have that many draft picks to trade, as we know. You would probably hope that you could re-sign Bruce Brown. I mean, his contract is up. I'm going to assume they have his bird rights. If they don't, well then, my bad on that one. You probably think about Claxton getting more minutes. Blake, in his situation, is interesting. I mean, I think he's a great fit for this team. Even somebody like Jeff Green, I mean, that's how it's got to be for the Nets. Like, their salary is $166 for next season. You subtract 12 from Dinwiddie, it goes down to $154. You're still over the luxury tax. So they don't have a whole lot of options. I mean, if you want to be the reactionary guy, just say Joe Harris sucks and try to move him for something. I don't think they should do that, but you can yell about it on Twitter. Be my guest. Also, Landry Shamet, little $3.7 million contract. Like, is there a world in which they can do some Shamet, DeAndre Jordan's contract? It's 2 years left. It's not the easiest thing to move. Could you get something for that? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, again, the Bucks, they did it in a game that, was it a good game? It was certainly intense. Was it good basketball all the way through? I guess when Drew wasn't hitting the side of the backboard and the Bucks offense wasn't dissolving into just ISO stuff, probably. Does this affect Kevin Durant's legacy at all? I don't think so. I mean, I think he's pretty comfortably in the top, 15 players ever or so. That's the real interesting thing, and I guess this is the thing with KD, right? It's like, he might have missed a golden opportunity to bump himself up the all-time rankings a bit. I shouldn't even say missed. It's more like an unlucky break, because the guy was just unreal in this game. I don't think any 1% of blame goes to him for this. But it's like, if the Nets had won the title this year, does KD go from, like, consensus of, 16th, 17th all-time to, like, borderline top 10? I don't know. There's still a conversation with him and, the Warriors titles, and how do they compare to insert whatever title you want to think of for whatever all-time guy you want to bring up. But still, it would have been a conversation. It's now not a conversation. He's clearly still one of the best players ever. And that's that. It also could have been huge for Harden, because getting that one title, and this is not to say that this is over for the Nets. They're going to come back next year. They're definitely going to be contenders. But, Harden is at a place in his career now where he could have the Dirk title. Maybe. I mean, Dirk, he didn't have two all-star teammates next to him, so maybe we'll never give Harden that. But getting even that one title can do a lot for a guy's all-time thing. And look, both of these guys are over 30. I think it's something to talk about a bit with them. But we'll be having that conversation again next season.